The Philippines is not exactly leading the pack when it comes to infrastructure. Traffic jams, long commutes, and overcrowded ports and airports are everyday challenges. But they're committed to fixing these issues through massive mega projects thanks to the Build, Build, Build program. And while these projects look amazing on the surface, the country's infrastructure is rooted in a history wrought with neglect. President Marcos Jr. has pledged to keep the Build, Build, Build program going strong. The BBB program started back in 2017 under the Duterte administration. This program is all about tackling the Philippines' infrastructure woes head-on. The plan is loaded with 112 flagship projects valued at around $88 billion. These projects cover various sectors. These include transport, urban development, water resources, ICT, health, and power. Transport and mobility have the majority share. It has 76 projects worth about $81 billion. These include roads, highways, expressways, bridges, railways, airports, buses, subways, and ports. The list is pretty extensive. As for funding, concessional loans are the preferred option. This is because they have lower interest rates. Japan was quick to jump in, especially with big-ticket rail projects. Many more banks chipped in with concessional loans. These were the Asian Development Bank, the World Bank, and Korea. Out of those 76 transport and mobility projects, 35 rely solely on development aid, and the government only funds 12 of them. There are also 24 public-private partnership projects. As of June 2022, only 10% of the transport projects were completed. That means there's still a world of opportunities for US exporters in the transportation infrastructure sector. The Build, Build, Build program was at the heart of this effort. It aimed to usher in a golden age of infrastructure in the Philippines. While that goal still remains today, it has had to change slightly. And that's because of the Philippines' maintenance problem. For a while now, the Philippines has struggled with a major roadblock to its economic growth: a lack of infrastructure. The BBB program aimed to change that. It's all about ramping up public spending on infrastructure. During the Aquino administration, only about 2.9% of the country's GDP went into infrastructure. The Duterte administration wanted to push that number to 7.3%. To make this happen from 2016 to 2022, they planned a hefty bill of around 8 trillion Philippine pesos. This massive investment was meant to tackle the Philippines' infrastructure issues head-on. But there's been a lot of chatter about this program. Some people are singing its praises, saying we've never seen infrastructure spending like this before. On the flip side, critics are raising red flags. Transportation comprised more than half of the infrastructure spending from 2006 to 2016. However, the Philippines still lags behind other ASEAN nations when it comes to infrastructure quality. Now, it's not just about how much infrastructure they're building, it's also about the quality. When we talk about quality, we're not only talking about the new stuff, we've got to look at the existing infrastructure too. The Philippine government is taking infrastructure seriously with the BBB program. They see some big problems, like poor planning, land issues, and slow permits. But what about what they already have? Are they taking care of it? Some things are old, like dams that are 50 years old. They only got fixed after a warning in 2017. The warning said that the dam was lacking in the structural integrity department and might break apart any second. While they solved the issue, it's a little concerning that the fix was only prompted after a warning. This shows that maintenance might not be a priority for the government. The light rail transit system and Manila Metro rail transit system are in bad shape too, because they've been ignored for years. People say that corruption and neglect are part of the problem. Even the government acknowledges these issues themselves. In their PDP report for 2023 to 2028, they said that the Philippines faces some of the highest logistics costs and congestion rates among ASEAN countries. The reason for this? Lacking infrastructure, inconsistent regulations, and inefficient operations. Now, while there is talk about maintenance, it often remains just that: talk. Usually, it only gains attention after accidents have already occurred. The main reason for this neglect is that maintenance isn't considered glamorous. It doesn't come with flashy ribbon-cutting ceremonies, so it lacks political appeal. This lack of routine maintenance is making their infrastructure gap worse. While building new infrastructure is important to meet the needs of the economy, without proper maintenance and repair, the health of these structures will only go downhill. Eventually, they become unusable or, even worse, dangerous when poor infrastructure leads to accidents. You have to remember, the Philippines has a significant infrastructure gap. So preserving what they have becomes even more important. Otherwise, they're stuck in a zero-sum game. One step forward, one step back. But before we move on, if you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Now let's talk about the Philippines' solutions to these problems. So, what is the Filipino government doing to address these maintenance concerns? The most promising change is the Build Better More infrastructure program. The Build Better More program is the same as the BBB program, but better. The Marcos administration took up the BBB program and improved it. While both BBB and BBM want to solve the same infrastructure problems, they have some differences. BBM has 194 approved high-impact priority projects compared to BBB's 119. 123 of BBM's projects are entirely new, while only 71 were carried over from BBB. Also, BBM boasts a budget of 9 trillion Philippine pesos, which is slightly larger than BBB's 8 trillion Philippine pesos. The BBM plan is all about keeping up their infrastructure spending, aiming for 5% to 6% of their GDP. In 2023, they set aside a hefty $23.7 billion. This is 5.3% of their GDP just for infrastructure. Most of this cash is meant to boost their physical infrastructure, making it easier to get around their beautiful country. But they're not stopping there. The government is also putting money into social infrastructure like schools, hospitals, and power and water systems. And to make the Philippines even more attractive for investment, they're upgrading their digital infrastructure too. Through the BBM program, the Department of Public Works and Highways will keep building stuff, but that won't be all. They're not just focused on construction, they're also thinking about sustainability, strength, and advanced technology. This includes improving bridges so that they're more resistant to earthquakes and a flood management program. This program has some big projects like the new Manila International Airport, Clark International Airport Expansion Project, and more in the pipeline. They plan on keeping their funding diverse. This means putting public-private partnerships to good use. The government's goal is to rev up the economy, aiming for a high growth rate of 6.5% to 8% of GDP in the medium term. That kind of growth can supercharge more infrastructure projects, make the economy tougher, streamline trade, attract more investments, and improve the lives of everyone. According to the Philippine Development Plan, they have a few solutions for maintenance issues that crop up in their infrastructure. The government is taking power seriously. They want a climate-proof and strong infrastructure. They've mentioned a strategy to make their existing power plants more reliable. This includes sticking to their grid operation and maintenance program, which will help them plan power outages for maintenance. There will also be checks on how well power plants and utilities are doing. It's like a performance review to find out what's going wrong and how to make it better. And they'll be ready for climate issues in how they run things. But what about transport? Let's talk about the Malolos-Clark Railway. It was supposed to finish in October 2024, but now it's set for June 2025. They're about a third of the way done with it. The details mention that the railway will have a depot with 12 tracks for parking and maintenance. The Metro Manila subway project also keeps this in mind. It's not just about building it, but also keeping it in good shape. They've got depots and maintenance spots to keep things running. Although, these are standard practices when constructing rail-based transportation. In New Clark City, they're being smart about stadium maintenance. They designed it to make repairs easy, allowing them to add things like utilities without tearing the place apart. They even skipped painting the concrete to make maintenance easy. Plus, it's built to handle big earthquakes. Lastly, the government has been putting money into bike lanes. They've set aside 3 billion Philippine pesos between 2020 and 2022 for the funding and maintenance of bike lanes specifically. But details of how they're going to preserve new and old infrastructure are sparse. There are only written and verbal commitments. Let us know in the comments what you think of the Philippines' maintenance woes. Will they be able to pull through? Leave a like, subscribe for more, and be sure to check out these videos on screen.